And here we go. We didn't play, did it? All right. Let's try this again. The joy of going live and forgetting to push the share button. We will do this one more time. All right. The joy of technology and having too much of it. Hello, welcome to the Sutliffian report. Just get us all back up here. Today, I am covering a lot of different topics today. And part of the reason for that is this is a Christian news show. We don't cover just one thing. So, as it is a Christian news show, I do want to start with the Word of God. Today, we are reading Matthew 23, verses 1 to 12. Then spoke Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not copy after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders. But they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts and chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. Be not one of you called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, the Messiah. That's the other word for Messiah in Greek. And all of you are brethren. Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be you called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. For he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. So who is it that you follow? Who is it that teaches you about the Bible or any other aspect of life? Do they say and not do? Do they show up trying to be seen? Are people putting them on pedestals, and are they unworthy of standing on a pebble? Jesus here warns both those who lead and those who follow about the hypocrisy of leaders. We should know who we follow and who we choose to follow, I should say. We should be given reasons to follow them by how they live their lives. Following Jesus is following God, who came to us in the form of a man. We follow him who does not deceive us. We follow him who is truth. We learn from the master, the teacher who loves for us knows no bounds. Titles of teacher, master, and father may be given to a person, but have they earned the right to say that they're a good teacher, they're a good boss, or simply a good dad? If you hold even one of these titles, do you deserve it? Have you worked hard to invest back into the people you serve? These are not easy things to think about. Dear Lord Jesus, I know I'm far from perfect. I'm not a perfect dad. I'm not a perfect anything, Lord. Just like many, I'm prone to distraction and prone to temptation. Lord, I ask that I just marvel that you still love us because of how stupid the things we do. We choose not to follow you sometimes, Lord. I just ask, Lord, that you bless us all, strengthen us, help us to walk stronger in you each day. In your name, Lord Jesus. Amen. Now, I'm going to go straight to my presentation, and let me explain why. The stuff that I'm going to share with you should be a little shocking today. I know it bothers me, the stuff that I'm going to be sharing. And I say bothers, it should bother you because this information, I hesitate to believe that this information will actually be shared with you in any other capacity. Maybe Fox News. I know OAN will report on it. Newsmax will report on it. But today, in Christian news, it's coming right out here. So August 4th, cannot believe this is August already. So let me just reduce this just a hair. Here we go. This is just going to blow your mind, some of this information. So if you don't know, Biden has been declared to have COVID now for a third time. I personally believe this letter from his physician, and this is something to think about, signed by Kevin O'Connor. He brags about his physician to the president, but he also declares his position as a university professor on this document. It says the president continues to feel well. This morning's exam were conducted after the president finished a light workout, which he enjoyed. He is still experiencing an occasional cough, but less frequently than yesterday. He's fever-free, in good spirits, temperature, pulse, blood pressure, respiratory and oxygen rate, entirely normal. Lungs remain clear. You can do all that. Notice what he's missing out here. He says his antigen testing remains positive. Anything about mental health there? How about anything about cognitive ability? Notice it's absent. Now, this doctor, if he is a medical professional, has a duty to report to the American people the cognitive ability of this man. I think, I've said it before. I think that they're not going to let him out of the basement anymore. I think they find him too dangerous. And Rad, if you have that video, did you find that? Definitely share it.
Yeah, I'm going to come in on my PC.
Okay.
Make sure I'm muted there.
Okay.
Let me share screen, Chrome tab, share audio. Here we go. Ready?
Got it.
By the way, this was from Gutfield on Fox News. This is where I first saw it. But this is the only clear one I could find. But here we go.
Alzer and Chancellor Farabee, thank you for joining us as well. And for families across the country, the school year.
That's
he just wanders off. Now the sound of the what do you call it? The ice cream truck. That's clearly edited. That's clearly edited. But what's funny though about this is the New York Times actually fact checked this, or maybe it's WAPO actually fact checked this that no, there was no. He didn't wander off to go chase ice cream, but he said they didn't know why he wandered off. You know what I mean? So
That is something people with dementia do, and that's
exactly. But Gutfield actually has the real thing. I'd like to play that if you could.
sure,
This is
please.
yeah. So here we go. He has the actual real unedited footage here. Let me pull it up here. Where is it? Here we go.
Hilarious. I would say the footage does seem manipulated. There's no way Joe can move that fast. But give him a break. He's got oil cancer. The original video
Coming
was
up.
from last September when the president and renowned pediatric neurosurgeon, Dr. Jill Biden, spoke at a middle school about the pandemic. Well, Jill spoke to the students. He just sniffed them. But no, he didn't leave because of an ice cream truck. But the edited version somehow forced Reuters to take time away from hard-hitting journalism to actually fact-check it. Quote, altered, this video has been digitally edited to include ice cream truck music. Finally, though, they got a fact check right. But if you're gullible enough to think that's real, you just might be Nicole Wallace. And that's not a joke, so no need to fact check
It's
it.
coming up. It's coming
So
up.
let's see. Why don't we sit back and see what the real video was like, the unedited one.
Here we go.
Ona and Mayor Bowser and Chancellor Farabee, thank you for joining us as well. And for families across the country, the school year, gosh, it always brings this sort of mix of emotions for families. The anticipation of classmates, teachers.
Okay. Thank you,
That's
Ray.
that's yeah. That's the real video right there.
Well, that could have been the
Honestly, I
reason.
don't. That didn't even look like Biden.
Oh, that's why. That's the purpose.
The mask up, it
it's a
looked very
spoof.
different.
That's a spoof. That part. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It said
That
we
could have been
shouldn't
the
do
reason. I mean, we don't know. I just know that people with dementia will suddenly get up and go someplace when they're with you, or they'll just. It's kind of frustrating at times when you have a loved one with dementia because you can't communicate the way you used to. And
This is true. This is true.
um,
But I don't know. So what do you think? Do you think that they're going to install Kamala Harris with Governor Kendall as her VP?
I think my way of viewing this is not very kind. I think they have arranged to make him disappear. They're going to justify his demise is the way I'm looking at this. They're going to say, yeah, his blood. I mean, people with dementia has nothing to do with your heart rate or other stuff, but
Right, they can live forever.
yeah, yes, and I think that they are going to help him disappear. Is my honest thought.
I don't
Because
think you disappear him, but I think no. Oh, what about a fake assassination? Blame some
I
MAGA
don't
guy.
think. I think they're going to the fake part is I think they will not necessarily an assassination, but let him die off and
Fall off a
maybe
bicycle.
fall off a bicycle and die or something like that. But I don't, or he'll just die in bed and they're going to blame it on COVID. That's my I mean, that's a speculation. I think that the Democrats are desperate to have someone else take a limelight, and they don't believe it will be Miss. I can't get 3 words straight in my head. So, I think they're looking to replace whoever they want. They don't want Nancy in there. They don't want Kamala in there. So it's going to be interesting because if Nancy's gone, if Kamala's out, which again, they don't want her either, the next person that takes that spot is Nancy. And that's where it gets scary. Nobody wants Nancy as president of the United States. And I think that's one of the reasons she took this trip to say, oh, I'm presidential material. Because she was originally cowarding out. She was afraid of China. So that's something to think about. I didn't think she would actually come back. I really didn't.
I was kind of torn on it. I mean, I was like looking for Hallmark. I mean, is there a card that says thank you when we're now at war at the same time? I mean,
I was surprised. I did not believe that she would actually finish out. I didn't think that she would actually follow through and go.
She did under cover of darkness. I don't think she spent the night. I think she just kind of whizzed in and whizzed out.
Yeah, she did. She whizzed. She did. Yeah, she was in there quick and out because I didn't expect her to be home today, which it looks like she is, which kind of blew my mind. But yeah, she did go in under cover of darkness type thing. Yes, she did hurriedly make it out. I think she's still bowing to the communism. That she gets somehow she has a benefit from it because people like her, Nancy Pelosi, her husband Paul. Yes, and they have been in the new news out there. Paul makes money off Nancy's deals. She had to turn over what was it, over $1 million back in benefits that he made from her inside knowledge. Yeah. That's just from one deal, though. He just got caught on one deal, but he's made multiple millions off of her.
All of them, all of these people, man, they go in there and they're multimillionaires. You know what I mean?
They go in, and that's a big issue to me that they're doing that. I think it should be considered illegal, but they don't. So this to me is one of the big stories today. Project Veritas, God bless them, shared out this news story. I'm going to make this full size, so I think everybody should see this. And here's why I'm saying domestic. All patriots have just been labeled domestic terrorists. Let's take a look at some of these things that were. Let me just read this. The following symbols are used by anti-government, anti-authority, violent extremists, especially militia violent extremists. MVE symbols are often found on propaganda, online platforms, memes, merchandise groups, flags, tattoos, uniforms. Widespread use of symbols and quotes from American history, especially the Revolutionary War, exist within the MVE networks. Some of that part is true. However, if that's true, you should not mix the symbols of history and call them uniquely their symbols. This is what bothers me. So the only one they have up here that is unique is the Bugaboo symbol. That's it. That is the only one that is unique. Sorry, and the anarcha capitalism. Those are the only two. And then they go straight into the Punisher skull. Okay, I can't tell you how many kids I've seen wearing that when the Punisher movie came out. All right. I mean, it's an average child. So because if you see that kind of stuff on bikers too as well. You don't have to be a patriot. I've seen them. I've seen the symbol worn by patriots. This is and we go to the right here. It says warrior culture, military themes, historical and contemporary, Spartans, Valhalla, and you see that symbol. I've seen that on a lot of military men as well. Okay, here's the one that really bothers me. 2A, Second Amendment people. All right, it says right here, justify their existence with the Second Amendment. Wait a minute. That means every American citizen in the country. Oh, so if you believe you have a Second Amendment, you're now a domestic terror threat. That's the way I read this. This is problematic. And then the other one that really gets me angry on Molin Lab. A Greek phrase that translates come and take it, come and take them. Oh, we've been saying that since this country started. Yeah, Brits, come try and take our guns. We'll put you in the ground. Then it was government, come try and take our money. Sorry, come take our guns. And again, we have been saying this since the country started. What's going on here? That this is now, I mean, I've keep telling people communism has taken over the Democratic Party. That you can't be a Democrat without being a communist today. So I don't understand how Christians can say, call themselves Democrats today. I really don't. But this right here should tell every Christian that you now have no Second Amendment rights, according to the FBI. They don't want you to have your FBI. They don't, and this is the other thing. This past week, they have had people going to doors and knocking. This last week and this week, I think I talked about it last week. Somebody knocking on doors and asking to look at weapons that people own. I mean, this is scary, scary stuff. Red, are you in here twice? Okay, I think, all right. Okay, so this is just scary stuff. All right, so here's the next one. Let me just pull this next page up here. All right, again, that. Then they have electrical resistance. Okay, so that's something, okay, black flag. Black American flag used to indicate no quarter shall be given. Yeah, those two, okay, I haven't seen those used by Patriots yet, so I'll leave those alone. But here's the ones that really, really bother me. Gadsden flag. All right. Every patriotic group I know of uses this flag. The Liberty Tree. I have shirts with the Liberty Tree. Okay. I have shirts with the Gadsden flag. I have shirts with Revolutionary War imagery. The Betsy Ross flag.
The Gadsden flag, I remember that flag used to fly in the children's library at a local public school that I attended when I was a kid in the 70s.
It was our first American flag.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't tell you how many elementary schools are adorned with pictures of Revolutionary War soldiers. You're going to now put children in lockup because they're potential domestic. I mean, are you telling us we can't teach our history? This is kind of scary. Again, it says referenced historical imagery or quotes. Are they telling us? I mean, the Betsy Ross flag, Revolutionary War imagery, hearkening back to the 13 colonies, calls for revolution. Really? Is that they're saying that's a call for revolution? Or is it a love of what we started out as? This Liberty Tree. It says Liberty Tree was a famous elm tree in Boston near Boston Common, 1765. Colonists in Boston staged the first act of defiance against the British government at the tree. Again, how is that imagery used to? I mean, these are all symbols that every patriot that I know has someplace in. They'll have shirts. Maybe they'll have a Gadsden flag outside. Maybe they'll have a Betsy Ross flag. Maybe they'll have Revolutionary War imagery. Again, it doesn't mean you're calling for a revolution. It means you believe in the principles of the government that we now have. And this extremely bothers me. We just had a Patriots gathering last Saturday. It was outstanding. There were at least 33 locally, and we didn't really, advertise large because we don't like to get troublemakers. It was more word of mouth. This is upsetting, the way I look at it. the fact that you could be called I mean, you can be a patriot and all of a sudden be considered okay. Now we can lock you up as a DHS can come lock you up because you're a threat, because you have a Gadsden flag, because you have a Betsy Ross flag, because you have Revolutionary War imagery. Oh my gosh, you're wearing a Liberty tree on your shirt. That extremely problemsome.
You know what they're trying to do? Okay. Well, let's take a look at the Nazi flag. Okay. The swastika, or however you pronounce it. I know I'm mispronouncing. That actually is the.
You said it right.
Yeah. Well, that is a symbol all over the world. Okay, in all ancient cultures, a symbol of peace, a symbol of harmony, symbol of good tidings. I mean, it's one of those universal symbols that are found in every culture: Native American, Indian, Asian Pacific. I mean, pretty much everywhere. And Adolf took that and he made it something ugly. And also think about it: it's the cross. Okay, it's just a bent cross. Okay, and think about that symbol universally. A cross in some form or another is a symbol of world peace, of peace, of good tidings, harmony, things like that. So they took it and poisoned it. What they're trying to do is they're trying to poison these symbols.
Yes.
Just like the Nazis did with the Nazi flag. So they're trying to poison these symbols. Okay?
Well, I call it rewriting history, and I think.
Well, it's that too.
Yeah.
Well, it's that too, but it's more diabolical. They're trying to poison. I mean, think about this. All of a sudden, you're flying, or whatever. You put up a Betsy Ross flag on the 4th of July, like some people do, right? You got your neighbor calling. Yeah, Mr. FBI agent. I think my neighbor's white supremacist.
Yeah, I want to pull.
You know what I mean?
Since you said that, I want to pull your eyes down to the bottom. I don't know if you can see this area down here. It says FBI internal use only, unclassified, law enforcement sensitive. This is the part that should make you concerned.
Exactly.
If you are law enforcement, if you got your local law enforcement are going to see these things. They're the ones who are going to get these releases. I can't tell you how many law enforcement I know that are involved as patriots. I can't tell you how many, not just law enforcement. I'm talking about all these people who volunteer or give of themselves in service. Okay. Firemen, lots of patriots and firemen. Ambulance, lots of patriots. Any kind of service industry. Educators. It's funny because people pick on educators a lot, but some of the people I meet that are some of the best patriots that I know of are educators. And I just sat there when our local group started up, it was the 912 group here, and we were filled with teachers. It was just a 912. A 912. That's what it came down to. 912 meant we were attacked on 9/11. On 9/12, we were just Americans. We weren't Republicans. We weren't Democrats. We were just Americans. And I cannot tell you how many educators showed up to that group. How many educators went down and fought. And this is when Obama was in office. That was when Glenn Beck was doing his thing as a big spokesman, and during Obama's time. And again, all of these symbols, definitely made it to the Capitol more than once. and this just makes a statement to me that they're concerned about our history. There is another page to this that I'm going to. Well, there's 2 pages total of this, but I've cut it up into multiple slides. Common phrases or references. And when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. Oh, yeah. That's what our founders taught us. We are everywhere. Expect us. I will not comply. I'm not complying. I will not comply. How is that dangerous? I will not comply with illegal mandates. If the law violates, if they're making a rule and it violates the Constitution, we have a duty under the Constitution not to comply. That is, again, the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
Wait. You left off a phrase off of that sentence. Of you, or it's all you. Okay, I will not comply. Okay, yeah, I could see how the Democrat board queen would, not like that. But no, and all enemies, foreign and
Oh yes, and I
domestic.
did miss that one. Yeah, all enemies.
Think about that
That's a phrase said in your when you
in your
go to
oath.
the military and you sign
Yep.
up. That
That's a phrase they all take. Everybody in Congress, anybody who's sworn in as a justice,
yeah,
anybody who's sworn into public office, including the president of the United States, that's the oath they take to
so
defend the
they're trying to
Constitution.
remove that from the oath as well. That's kind of
Yep,
interesting.
they're trying to poison it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Um, let's see. We have his name was Duncan. I don't know. Understand that one. Well-regulated American militia. There's again, those are well-regulated American militia is something that we have had in the United States since before its inception. If you look back to colonial America, we survived because we had militias, not because we relied on the Brits. We had militias and they defended us. These next groups they show, the 3%ers. I have met many 3%ers. Not one of them would I not trust. Let me put it that way. I've yet to see a 3%er that I would consider somebody I wouldn't trust. Oath keepers. If you looked at the videos of January 6th and what the Oath keepers did, they protected the police. You could see times where they were caught. I mean, there were videos of the Oath keepers defending the police, protecting the police, making the police safer, and the police were asking them for help. That's what happened on January 6th, people. Yeah, they didn't want you to know that, but there's actual videos of those events. You can go to Epic Times and you can see those videos. Just look up the January 6th, what really happened there. It'll blow your mind. American contingency. Here's the thing I'll say about that. I'm going to a Patriot event somewhat locally, and American and contingency, we talk about being ready. Being ready for what? Being ready for anything. Okay? Contingency. What was the Boy Scout oath? Be ready, be prepared. Contingency. Your job as an American patriot is to be ready. How? What does that mean? Being ready to serve, being ready to give back. And then this next set, they said significant events. Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge. Well, if you take a look at Ruby Ridge, how things happened there, I was given a video that I was able to look at. Yes, they are used. Videos of Ruby Ridge are used to recruit people to militias. I happened to be given one. The video that was given to me was tampered with. I've worked in a school where we taught video editing, and certain things they taught me to look for to find out if stuffing was edited, and I was able to learn from that. Okay, so Ruby Ridge, I'm not going to say it's a great moment of history. Waco, another not great moment of history. You won't hear me making references to that, but a lot of patriots do because out of concern. They'll say, well, we don't want another Ruby Ridge. They don't want another Waco. You don't hear people celebrating them. These are things that are concerns. People don't want another one of these. And this is just scary to think that they found as things that they had to be concerned about. Notable attacks and criminal
Wait, go back to that. Go back to that.
Okay,
Because-
all right.
So I do want to comment on that. Vicky Weaver, Ruby Ridge. Yeah, that was a total Clinton FBI. They botched that. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know much about the man. I don't know if he's a white supremacist or he's just wanted to be left alone or what the deal was. But they went out.
Yeah, it all had to do with how many weapons he had.
Yeah, well, they went after him. They killed his family. They killed. I mean, no, they killed. Didn't they kill his baby, infant daughter? She was holding her infant child. They killed his son. I mean, it
That
was
was under
horrible.
Obama. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was '92. So that was Clinton.
Clinton. Sorry, Clinton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Clinton.
it was the yeah. I just remember. Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff happened over Democrats. I don't know who this Marvin Newmeyer is. I don't know that. Killdozer. I don't know that. Leroy Francom. I don't know who that is. But Waco. Did they have Waco in there? Well,
Yeah.
Waco definitely. No, now Waco. Then people were nuts and insane. And yeah,
It was a
David
cult.
Rush.
It's
It
not
was a
even
cult.
question. It was a cult.
Yeah,
The guy was
David
having
Rush.
sex with little kids, and yes,
Uh,
I think they were stuck in there. I'm not going to say the FBI shouldn't have been
uh,
there, but it was again
no, no, they
bad.
botched it because no, because they could have arrested him any time. He regularly went into the town.
Yes,
Okay, alone, unescorted. They
yeah,
couldn't have him any time. Yeah, and they went. They announced it to the media before they were going to go, so they wanted to make sure the media had to go there. The way they were tipped off is the media called the post office to get the address and directions.
yeah.
I think it was someone from CNN did.
It
And no,
was.
that,
It was.
yeah,
I consider these two events botch.
not
FBI.
just botched. Yeah, not just botched, but deliberately botched it
Yes,
for
yes,
incompetence. But
yes.
now Ashley Babbitt, I do
That was
consider her a
that
martyr.
was
Yeah, I
actual
do.
murder. That was
Yeah, I do
murder.
consider us murder. I do consider her martyr, and if I ever am elected Congress, I will make sure that January 6th is Martyrs Day for Ashley Babbitt. We will have a ceremony
Ashley
after
Babbitt.
I come out.
I'm trying to tell you again. If you want to see evidence that she was murdered,
Oh, murder cold blood. They
murder.
had the rapid
I don't
response
know.
team.
There's no. I mean, if I don't know of another event that is more publicly known where a woman was murdered by a Washington D.C. officer, police officer, and they refused to give out the officer's name who was involved in the police shooting.
Oh, and
They
then no,
refused
they finally did. Yeah.
yeah, but
But no, they no. The thing about that is they had the rapid response team. Okay, in the hallway, there was a no shoot order on the
yeah.
radio. Okay, no, that's how they were
And
right
they
there
were,
right away. Yeah,
and the SWAT team was standing right behind them. They were just
yeah,
standing around.
exactly,
They weren't pulling anybody out of the where they were.
exactly. And
And
then
then,
that
but they
cop,
were
that
about to
coward,
go forward. They started to go forward, and then they stopped. And then that woman got shot. Ashley Babbitt got
yeah,
shot at that moment.
that coward poked his gun, and none of the other cops that were fired.
Yeah.
No,
Well, none of them
he
had
was a
their
total
guns
coward.
pulled. I mean, I didn't see anybody have a gun pulled to try to shoot the guy.
Yeah. So no, I do consider her martyr. So I guess that makes me a white supremacist. Whatever. But go ahead.
I don't know
Anyway.
about martyr, but it's definitely murder. That's definitely how I view that.
Well, I consider her martyr because I want it to be known as that January 6th Martyrs National Ashley Babbitt Martyr Day, just to piss off the lefties, just for that reason alone.
Yeah.
Have a ceremony right there in the Capitol. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry to
Okay.
interrupt you.
All right. So here we go. We're going to go on to the quote notable attacks or criminal activities that inspire us. Timothy McVeigh. Yeah, that's the event. Okay, that's truly what I would call domestic terrorism. The Crusaders. Again, it says 2016, 3 MVEs were arrested for planning to conduct an IED attack. Okay, never heard of them. Stephen Carrillo. I'd never heard of him. Okay, those may be accurate things that you would look for, but my biggest issue, it says lesser known too. My biggest issue is they're putting on things. So they're putting things on to name every patriot in America a domestic terrorist. So they can now lock you up under the Patriot Act and you don't get any representation. This is one of my issues with that entire law. But the fact that the FBI is involved here, I am of those who believe the FBI needs to be the structure, the entire administration needs to be gutted. That this could even be constructed And oh, I do have something to share on this. Okay, let me pull this up. I'm going to have to stop sharing for a second and I'll pull this up. This is just nuts. All right, pull this up. And come on. There we go. Just waiting for this to come up, and I think I have to go back and stop sharing because I did not push that sound button. The joy.
Sure.
I gotta hit the share and share the sound.
Director Ray, what are y'all doing?
Mute yourself.
This makes no
right.
sense. Do you agree with this FBI guidance that the Betsy Ross flag and the Gadsden flag and the Gonzales battle flag are signs of militia violent extremism?
Well, Senator, I'm not familiar with the particular document you have behind you, and I'm not in the practice of trying to comment on documents that I haven't recognized. But I will tell you that when we put out intelligence products, including ones that reference symbols, which we do across a wide variety of contexts, we usually take great pains to put caveats and warnings in the document that make clear that a symbol alone is not considered evidence of violent extremism.
All right, this guy is a lying. I can't come up with nice words to describe him at this point. That is, I mean, the whole concept of him telling the truth is a scary thought. Ted, I think I skipped a part here. He pulls out his boots. I don't know if everybody saw that. He pulls out his boots, puts them on, says, "Okay, are you going to arrest me?"
That was awesome.
Yeah, I
wish you would have shoved that. I wish you would have shoved that boot up his camera.
Yeah, he puts up his boots and he says, "Look, I'm part of this group, and I wear these boots every day. Okay, what are you going to do about it?" Oh, well, I mean, that's the issue. This is the real thing. I mean, that we have a good man here who's standing up for our rights, and Christopher Wray can sit there and lie through his teeth, but there's no one at the top of a corporation that doesn't have someone whose job is to troll the media to find out, if there's any bad news or anything out about them. So you cannot tell me the DHS was not aware. The head of the DHS was not aware that Project Veritas had released this information. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that Christopher Wray, at the time that he was answering these questions, already had an investigation going as who leaked this information. That is, I don't have a doubt in my mind that that's what was going on.
Oh, exactly. They know. They're all just feigning ignorance because that's their legal thing. They can sit there and say, I'm not aware. I don't recall. I don't know. And see, this is the thing. I love Ted Cruz, but these hearings, they have no impact. They have no meaning because they get away with it. Unless these people are going to be held to serious accountability.
What I want is for them to actually, since he said this, and my question is, what he was doing, is it considered testimony or not? If it's considered,
he's sworn under oath.
He's sworn under oath. Then by law, he must face the penalty of perjury.
Well, see, no, that's the thing. I heard Ted Cruz. He does. I don't know if you watched the podcast he does. I think it's like, well, now it's actually a lot more, but it's like once a month or so, but that's like once every couple of weeks. Verdict with Ted Cruz. He actually took this question. He said, listen, here's the thing. Yeah, we can put these people under oath. We can, and we can find them in contempt of Congress. and we can actually find them on perjury, but we cannot punish. We don't have a jail, okay, which that needs to change, okay. We don't have a jail. They have to refer it over to the Department of Justice. Well, the Department of Justice, unless you're a Republican, will not prosecute. Okay. Now, true, they're prosecuting Republicans for contempt of Congress, like they just did to what's his name, went and arrested him with a full SWAT team, okay, at the airport or something like that. But no, they cannot prosecute the whole thing of these hearings, and this is not even evidentiary. They have to hand it over to the Department of Justice, and they decide if they're going to prosecute or not. Unfortunately, thanks to Clinton and Obama, think about this. This is 16 years of them putting high-level Democrat loyalists in place. 16 years of this crap.
Yes.
Okay, and these high-ranking Democrat loyalists, they only hire their loyal people. Okay, so no,
that's why this. Unfortunately, the FBI used to be an organization that it didn't matter what party you were.
Right.
It never affected the leadership, and it was considered if you were part of it, you were considered the best of the best. And right now, you can't trust. And that's the saddest part of it. You can't really trust. So I'm of the opinion at this point that we need to dismantle the FBI administration.
The FBI, Department of Justice.
Yep.
Definitely.
DOJ. Yeah, you've got to do some dismantling and rebuilding. And the only one I know, actually, the only person I know that's actually done these kind of things is the guy that's probably running for office next time. His name is Donald Trump.
Yeah, he tried. Look what happened to him. They framed him.
Well, and then the humor there is they framed him, and then all those people who were involved in that have now been exposed as having been involved.
They don't get punished.
In what's
called
seditious. Yeah. So when the unfortunate part is we have to wait for Republicans to come back in because they've now been all found. I mean, without a doubt, they can easily be found guilty of something called seditious conspiracy. And boy, is there a penalty for that. There's only one worse penalty. That's for treason. Now, the question is, when you do these things to a sitting president, is it seditious conspiracy without treason? I believe the action is actually treasonous because the purpose was to remove the sitting president, which would make it an act of treason. So that is, I think, what needs to be done. I'm of the opinion that those things need to be evaluated. They need to go to trial and let things fall where they may. If that's, they're found guilty, they get whatever the penalties are for those charges. All right, let's go on to this next topic. And this next topic, I'm trying to form a group right now. I've got one PhD guy who's interested. And this is on the lack of scholarship in Islamic culture. I'm not saying a particular country. I am not saying that I'm not talking necessarily about Muslims. I'm talking about Islamic culture, the lack of scholarship in it. And I'm just going to pick one particular one. And this is by this guy named Ali Siddiqui. And I'm going to have to grow this, I guess. Let me see. Ali Siddiqui, he decided to write a paper. The title is "The Islamic Ruling Regarding Female Genitalia Modification," and I cannot pronounce his first name, and I can't figure out how many syllables that is either. But he did this 3 years ago.
Let me help you with that. It's Muhammad.
Okay. And it kills me how much of this paper is irrelevant and off topic. So I'm just going to I just want to read part of this. It's again, he starts out and he's reading the Quran. When the female infant buried alive shall be questioned for what sin she was killed. What does that relate to? And this is the introduction. In antiquity, many societies of the Mediterranean basin practice female infanticide. How does that relate to FGM? It doesn't. It doesn't. So keep listening to this, though. If the child was fortunate, someone would come by and enslave the infant. Otherwise, she would starve to death, surrounded by the remains of Rome's abundant food supply. And those little necklaces, they provided a link to the parentage of the child in case the child made something of herself later in life and the parents decided they would like to reconnect. How nice of them. And this guy is this author. Okay. Again, it's way off topic. We're talking about FGM. The next paragraph, he says, again, off topic, all these two things, off topic. Why do they become consumed with grief upon hearing of a birth of a daughter? Besides perhaps the more obvious blows to one's macho image, really, it's a blow to a man's image to have a daughter. Okay. Many men also fear damage to their honor. Really? That's what you believe, huh? What if she, again, so he's going straight to how and this is the part that gets me. He went straight to the concept that an honor does not belong to the girl, does not belong to a woman. This is problematic. He says, what if the relationship what if she goes off, has a relationship with some low-ranking man? What if she has a relationship before I can marry her off to some man from another tribe, thereby making important alliances? What if she takes a younger lover after being married to this well-connected man? Again, he's blaming it all on the girl. All these things and how that affects his honor. And then the very next paragraph, controlling female sexuality is an obsession among some men. I think he can count himself.
Muslim men. Muslim men.
Yeah. Okay. And then he cites what we call apocryphal scriptures as Christian scriptures. I'm sorry, these are not Christian scriptures. These are apocryphal. I don't know very many Catholics who actually will know what they are, but I had to go look this up. And he says, the Jewish, let me just finish this. It says, in many societies around the world, again, we're supposed to be talking about FGM. And he says, again, he's talking about how girls can be, cause problems. Okay. Your daughter is headstrong, he said. This is supposed to be a quote from Ecclesiasticus 42:11. It says, your daughter's headstrong, keep a sharp lookout that she does not make you the laughing stock of your enemies, the talk of the town, the object of common gossip, and put you to public shame. And again, he says, Ecclesiasticus 42:11, keep a headstrong daughter under firm control. Again, this Ecclesiasticus is not what I would call Jewish literature. Extremely important to understand. They don't consider it part of their canon. And again, understand that. Okay, so let's take a look at what it really says. 42:11. Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make you a laughing stock to your enemies, and a byword in the city, and a reproach among the people, and make you ashamed before the multitude. A shameless daughter. Oh, that's not at all what he cited, is it? That says a lot to me that, again, he has to change things. Again, this is a lack of scholarship. All right, let's keep going on. Again, he's talking about Arabs burying their daughters alive. Okay. What does this have to do with FGM?
Wait, European fathers lock their daughters up in metal chastity belts.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. Okay, so he goes down, and again,
what
does this have to do with FGM? So he says the birth of a daughter is a loss. European fathers lock their daughters up, and he cites Ecclesiasticus 22:3, and I'm going to go back and I'll pull that quote up after I finish reading this. We'll talk about. He says daughters lock their daughters up in metal chastity belts. I mean, most men couldn't afford to do this kind of thing. This is something kings, queens, royalty did when they feared being taken over by people like Muslims.
I don't even think that's even true. I think that's just
Well, it was.
we have to
It
know
did
that.
exist. It did happen. It there were. I mean, these are nobles that could afford to do these things. But
Well,
again,
even if it did, it couldn't be for life and all time. I'm sure it was at a
no, it
party
was.
or a gala or
It
something.
was a temporary thing.
Exactly.
It was to protect, and you didn't leave them on like forever. No, um, and again, he's making all these bad historical conjectures, which are not in any way scholarly. So the poor girls were not even able to clean themselves properly after going to the bathroom. Again, if you take a look at these things, yes, in summary, I would say part of that is true, part of it isn't. Here we go to another thing that's really messed up. Even earlier, Egyptian Copts, really, I know some Egyptian Copts. They would They would have problems with this. Kibbutz, the pharaonic people, allowed the girls to keep clean, but instead surgically sewed their vaginas shut. Really, show us a citation that backs up anything, and he didn't.
We do know that happens in Muslim African cultures. I mean, we have evidence of that.
Yes,
In
we
Arab
know.
Muslim cultures, yes.
Yes, we do know that some of this stuff is. I guess the best way and the nicest way I can put it is tribal related. And it usually has to do with an Islamic culture. Not all of them are Islamic, but
Right.
the vast majority are. So let's take a look at Ecclesiasticus. Okay. I want to go back to it. It says the birth of a daughter is lost. That's what he says, right? But if you take a look at what Ecclesiasticus really said, an evil nurtured son is the dishonor of his father that begot him, and a foolish daughter is born to his loss. So it's not a daughter. I mean, again, foolish is inserted. The reason it's inserted is because the first reference here is to an evil son. So it's not that it's a reflection to that previous passage. All right. You can't just say daughter. And, I agree. It is. It looks bad, but you have to understand Hebrew. You have to understand the thought process here. There's a reference here. You wouldn't say, you could actually put evil there, and it would probably be more accurate because this all relates back to the reference of evil. So that's where I have problems with this, the lack of scholarship here. All right. Again, this whole passage, everything you see here is, again, way far. This is page 3. The Romans did it to Carthage, painting them as baby killers. Islamophobes paint our beloved prophet as a pedophile in their attempts to criminalize Islam. Hey, we didn't tell anybody that he was a pedophile. Your literature tells us he was a pedophile. That's what it comes down to. Pedophiles are people who have sex with children. So Muhammad married a 6-year-old, sexually. It says he used the word thighed in some of the hadiths. Those are references. I'm not going to get into those because I don't want to feel like I have to take a shower immediately after this. But again, it is Islamic hadiths. It is Aisha herself who tells that Muhammad had sex with her when she was 9. So again, criminalize. I guess the only way you could say criminalize is if people are still practicing this. I mean, that's the criminalize, I guess. If people want to copy their prophet because they think he's perfect, that would criminalize Islam, but it's not the people who, these are not Islamophobes. Okay. And he says Islamophobes have an agenda, a mission to paint Islam as evil. One way is to focus on the treatment of women. Not all the accusations are unfounded. Now that caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting him to say that. The fact, again, the sad sorry truth here is this: none of this is relevant to the paper. The fact that actual men have seldom follow the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah in regard to the treatment of women does not imply that Islam is misogynistic. How is this even relevant? So if people don't follow Islam and they don't treat women well, that doesn't make, again, why would we even be talking about this? Now, here he goes in and he says this thing. And this is what stupid liberals have put into textbooks. Islam gave women the right to contract business 1,400 years before women gained the right in the West. That is BS. I'm sorry. Women had the rights to conduct business for centuries. Centuries. Since, I mean, you can go back to biblical times. Women were doing business. It wasn't a normal thing for women to do, but it was done. And, you know, there were women who had to do business. They inherited it. I mean, there's an implication here that no Christians had this. No, there were. You can go a couple 100 years earlier, in the 1800s. There is a woman who became a millionaire, the first Black millionaire. She had her own business. It was condoned, and she was a Christian. Oh, it was not condoned, but it was part of culture here in the United States. Anybody could make whatever they wanted of themselves. This woman made a millionaire out of herself, selling hair products. Outstanding. I can't think of her name right now, but I mean, it's pretty bad. Here I am, the social studies teacher. I can't think of her name right now. All right. Let's go down to this next one. In 1973, again, they're way, way off. Go on. It says, as Muslims living in the world we live in today, we cannot afford to be lackadaisical about our fiqh. You are ambassadors for Islam, as well as for your country and your family. Many unseen eyes are watching you. They are judging every Muslim in the world by your behavior. If a fellow Muslim is killed because someone got a poor impression of Islam and Muslims from your behavior, you are partially to blame. Wait a minute. Again, this is supposed to be a paper about FGM. How does any of this have to do? And this is the part I thought was priceless. It says Islam is not an ethnicity. It is a religion, a way of life. Oh, okay. So are you saying Islam is not a race? You know,
I thought it was. I thought we was all racist because we was against Islam.
Well,
So
you know,
it's not race. Yeah.
Again, he's using Islamophobe, and he has later on he reveals he's Muslim Brotherhood. He likes Muslim Brotherhood guys, and you'll see that this is again a lack of scholarship is what this is about. Again, this whole section is still going. We're on page 3 still. We have no. It says we have no right to judge Christianity by the behavior of non-practicing Christians or secular atheists, although many of us do. Wait a minute. You just said it was wrong to judge Islam that way. Again, he's saying it's not right to do. Okay. Please be clear about your identity so people will not judge Muslims on the basis of your cultural behavior. And if you identify as a Muslim, learn your deen and try your best to live it. Don't just assume you know it because you grew up in a certain place or speak a certain language. You know, this is where I say a lot of people who follow Islam don't know anything about Islam. Because they have never, I mean, they might be told what to repeat. There are people who have learned the entire Quran but have no knowledge of any words that are actually in there. They repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. They memorize how to say something, but they don't have any knowledge of what those words actually mean. That is just mind-numbing. No understanding of what that's again, all of this is off topic. It's supposed to be on FGM. You see that on the side and the left? FGM is what we're supposed to talk about. Female genitalia mutilation.
So when are we getting to the FGM, man?
We're getting there. Okay. Now we have the reveal that this guy likes Muslim Brotherhood. So there's a section titled Methodology. And he starts to, he's going to talk about he's going to talk for pages, 10 pages on Sharia. Not mention anything besides in his footnote.
We're not going to go over those 10 pages.
Oh
are we?
no. I skip ahead. But this is on this page 3, he says, this is the part that gets me the most. Imam al-Qaradawi. That al-Qaradawi was not allowed to
That
come.
name sounds. That name
This guy
sounds
is not allowed to
familiar.
come to the United States because he threatened U.S. soldiers. He wanted
Right.
them killed. All right. He has no problem with our soldiers being killed. Okay. It says Imam al-Qaradawi has favored it and has commented that it protects again, he's talking about he's talking FGM. He's talking about it protects a girl's morality, especially these days. Okay, then we go on March 2005. Dr. Ahmed Talib, Dean of Faculty of Sharia at Al-Azhar, stated all practices of female circumcision and mutilation are crimes and have no relation to Islam. Whether it involves the removal of the skin, the cutting of the flesh, female genital organs, it's not an obligation in Islam. That's what he says. Fast forward 2007, Ali Goma, he says he says something that here's the part that gets me. He's starting to quote the Ikhwan al-Muslim, which is the Muslim Brotherhood, and its scholars favor and promote the practice, resisting attempts to criminalize female circumcision in Egypt. Scholars with government ties or ties to rival parties have ruled against it. So he's now saying the Muslim Brotherhood is, he's putting faith in them. So this is quite the reveal. Notice what he didn't call it here. FGM. Female genitalia mutilation. He has referred to this as circumcision. So again, this is where I I'm just going to pull this one more piece up here. It says FGM. This is the part where it gets really interesting. Female genitalia mutilation is not an Islamic term. No ayah of the Quran or Hadith mention the term. It is modern term covering a range of practices, and there's a definition of those terms. All right. But he says right here, this is the thing. I prefer to use the term female genitalia modification in an effort to de-emotionalize the discussion. Mutilation implies harm, pain, or evil. Mutilation is haram. So when you refer to FGM and you're using the word mutilation, to him, it's forbidden. Now, this is the thing to think about. Circumcision, on the other hand, is okay. So modification. Yeah.
Is presto changeo. We just dude, wait a second. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's think this through a little bit more. Okay. So, all right. According to him, okay. Well, okay. So what if he was doing before is he was bringing up all these things that the Kufar did. The Kufar did all this evil. The Kufar did all this bad. So therefore, they're blaming us for doing this. But no, we're just modifying. You know what I mean? So he's poisoning the well, saying you don't have a right to criticize us today because your people, some people, sometime did these horrible things to girls. Okay. Okay. So that's the main what do you call it?
Argument so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not an argument. It's a logical fallacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why I say there's no scholarship in this piece. It's just disgusting. I'm on page.
Let's look at this. But let's look at this. Okay, female genital mutilation is not an Islamic term. Do you know what else is not an Islamic term? And I'm not making this up. The rape. Not just the word rape, but there is no legal definition for what is considered rape. Okay, it is all considered illegal sex. Okay, zina. Okay. No, seriously, I can show you from an actual scholar, Jonathan A.C. Brown, where he actually writes about that. He said there's, he goes through it detail by detail. There is no legal definition for rape. Not just rape in the modern term, but forcible sex. Okay, in any form whatsoever. Because you can't have that. Okay. What you have illegal sexual intercourse. If some guy rapes a woman who is not his wife, okay, and he's not married, okay, whether she's Muslim, well, if she's Muslim, then he's punished a certain way, okay, with 100 lashes, and she's punished too, right? Okay, right? That's the beauty of Islam. But if it's a slave, well, guess what happens then? Then the guy only has to pay, okay, or it's a slave that's not his own. Then he only has to pay the the owner for property damage. Get it? So that's pimping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damage my property. Anyway, I just
again,
want to point that out.
Yeah. So again, I want to pick on this term, this changing of words, and you're right. It's this playing of words. This is a tactic of Muslim Brotherhood organizations to control the language. That's where that Islamophobe. It's actually created by a Muslim Brotherhood group. Islamophobia was created. The terminology was created by the International Institute of Islamic Thought. We know that. It's been found. It's factual. Let's take a look at this now. Go to this last sentence. And one of the things we determine as fuqaha is whether the practice of mutilation, we would be guilty of circular logic if we use the term female genitalia mutilation to refer to the practice in question. So you're saying if we call it mutilation, it has to be, that's the conclusion, it is mutilation. But if we call it FGM, and you call it, you're saying circumcision, see, circumcision for a male has a benefit. Circumcision for a female, there is no benefit. That's the difference. Okay? And they are refusing to accept. That's what this is, a statement right here, that they're saying that there is nothing there to, there's no, once you start calling it anything but circumcision or quote modification, I mean, that to me is just, it's problematic.
Modification, it's an enhancement, right?
So we're gonna do a modification on your body. It won't harm you. It won't take. No, you're taking something off that was there. There was a reason for it. It had a
We're
purpose.
just gonna remove anyway for you to have sexual pleasure.
Yeah.
Even though your body screams for it, you know what I mean? There's no way for that release. Oh God, that's just a horrible thing. I feel so sorry for these women.
Yeah, I don't like this whole topic, but I think it has to be touched. So now I'm leaving those pages there. Like I said, there was 13 pages of drivel on Sharia before, and then he starts to get into the paper where he starts to define he starts to define everything. Now I find it interesting that he does that. But again, he left so much. It took him, again, you don't get into the real topic of FGM until you're 13 pages in.
So he's for it. He's in favor, right? He defends the practice.
Well, because FGM, he's allowing it when he uses the term FGM, he says it's all illegal. If you use the term circumcision, it's all legal.
Right. So he's playing with, whatever. He's oh God.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't have any daughters. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you there. And
what a horrible man.
Some of these things you just sit and you hear, you're like, oh my gosh. So here are my news articles for the week, because I could not, I didn't, that's just, to me, it's too thick a topic for me to get into. I hate the concept, to be honest. This is, I saw this article today. Islamic State group Canadian narrator of propaganda videos jailed. Now, wait till you hear the amount of time this person gets and where he's sentenced. So this came out 5 days ago. And it says, a U.S. court has sentenced a Canadian citizen who produced and narrated propaganda videos for the Islamic State group to life in prison. Wait a minute. Saudi, did they just say he's a Canadian citizen? The next thing they're saying is Saudi-born Mohammed Khalifa was found guilty of conspiring to provide material support to the group. Canada, if I was Canada, I would remove his citizenship. That's how I think that should be done. I mean, Canada shouldn't be labeled. Again, they're calling this man a Canadian citizen. He spent his 3 years there. Canada, I think, is within its rights to remove his citizenship because they were fighting for us as well. I mean, they were fighting alongside us. So if these people were, if Islamic State was fighting us and them, they should remove his citizenship because he was committing an act of treason. That's what the actual act is. Got life in prison. Treason has its own penalty. So they didn't give him the penalty for treason. That's something to think about. They gave him a life sentence. The Islamic State was defeated by Iraqi forces and a U.S.-led coalition in 2017. Gee, who was president then?
That was Obama.
Are you really thinking that Obama? No, 2017.
No, that was
Nope,
Trump.
that is Trump.
No,
Trump killed him. Trump
Yep.
smoked him,
Yep.
dude.
Obama was pretty much the originator of ISIS in many ways. He had a lot to do with it. But the group,
junior league, what was it, the junior team or something like that?
well, he's the one who wanted them to be called ISIL, to give them a softer name. And there was a problem with that, but I'll leave that alone for now. Islamic State was defeated by Iraq. Okay, but the group still maintains a presence in Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan as well, in the Horn of Africa. U.S. prosecutors say Khalifa provided English-speaking narration for 15 propaganda videos that glorified horrific murders designed to incite attacks and recruit others to the group. Khalifa, who grew up in Toronto, traveled to Syria in the spring of 2013 and joined the Islamic State in November. He worked with the Islamic State media operations until late 2018. He got caught in many respects.
Now, wait a second. I just want to say, so the only thing the dude did was translate and make videos, right? Okay, promoting this group, right?
Yes.
He got life in prison.
So what if he gets life in prison in American court for that? What should somebody get for making videos and false information to take a president down?
Yeah, so that was what I was just going to bring up. Or worse yet, on the flip side, think about that. What should someone get? Okay, if you flip it the script for the lefty Democrats, what should someone get for making patriotic videos where they're showing the Betsy Ross flag and where they're doing the quotes of you know what I'm saying? I mean, no, I remember when they passed this Patriot Act, I was actually for it. I was like, yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, I thought it was too. Now I'm thinking about.
I remember being warned by Muslims. I mean, good Muslims or whatever. They're not killers or ISIS people. You know what I mean? But they're like, dude, you don't understand.
Nobody really at the time that came out. It was just the idea was we're going to protect America. That was the whole concept.
Right, but a lot of them said, dude, and these are dudes that I kind of respect. I mean, but we debated vigorously and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they'd come to Christ, but they weren't, Kennys or anything like that. I mean, they were good, solid people. But no, they said, dude, just to come back and bite you in the ass. You watch, dude, because flip that coin. And I'm like, no, I would never say anything un-American. Well, guess what? Patriotic slogans are un American. So you're not, saying that you will defend the Constitution against all, all enemies, foreign and domestic, is now, according to the FBI, a sign that you're a white supremacist. Yeah. You know what I mean? They just flipped the script. So this is a scary thing. Now, I'm glad the dude's in prison for life. I don't have any complaints on that. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the stuff that gets you going. I looked at that and it caught me. It makes me think. So this next article is from Israel, and I saw this and I had to share it. Now, I like Maurice Hirsch, who's the author. I've had him on the show before. I see if I can get him back. We talked about this particular thing. Maurice Hirsch writes an outstanding piece. Let me just read this out. This came out July 31st. And the reason I think it's important is people have to understand that everybody who attacks a Jew that lives in these areas that are controlled by the followers of Islam, then they get paid for assaulting Jews. They get paid for killing Jews for the rest of their lives, as long as they're alive. So here's the article. It says, again, it came out the 31st of July. To date, the PA rewarded the terrorist responsible for the bombing 8,022,600 shekels. That means in actual American money, this would be 2,579,614 bucks. All right. Every month, the PA pays them an additional 20 grand, 20.5 grand. Okay. This month, the PA will raise the salaries of 4 of the terrorists by 14.29%. So Maurice writes this: on this day 20 years ago, Palestinian terrorists exploded a bomb in the Frank Sinatra cafeteria in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, murdering 9 people, including 5 American citizens, and injuring over 80 others. This attack was one of the many terror attacks carried out by the same terror cell. 4 of the members of the terrorist cell that carried out the attack, Wa'el Qassem, Wassim Abbasi, Ala al-Din al-Abbasi, Muhammad Oda, were arrested shortly after in August of 2002. Having now spent 20 years in jail this month, the PA will give each of the terrorists 14.29% raise in their basic salary from 7,000, which is 7,000 shekels. They're going to raise it to 8,000 shekels. That means they're going from $2,251 a month to $2,572 a month. So they're getting a $20 increase a month because they killed somebody, because they killed 9 people. Since the terrorists were residents in Jerusalem, the PA pays them an additional supplement of 300 monthly shekels, which is 96 bucks. So they get an additional $100 for not having lived in. I mean, this is so you get an extra amount for living amongst Jews and then killing them. That's just mind-numbing. And he put in this article. We put the link in the chat room. He put in this article. All you can go to this site and you can see all this information. It's just kind of mind-numbing. Pal Watch. I love Pal Watch. So if you can financially support them, great. Outstanding organization. All right. This one
They name streets after them. They give them salaries. Dude,
Yes.
so that's U.S. money because we give money, okay, to the Palestinians, to the Palestinians. Yeah, we give like I don't know how much it is. I mean, it's not much when it's compared to like what we're giving to Ukraine. When we give that, I think it's like $50 million a year or something like that, maybe a billion if that. But no, we're supporting this. I swear to you, our own foreign policy is what screws us. We should have developed the foreign policy of China or the foreign policy of Russia. You know what I mean? It would have been much easier for us. But no, we're noble and pure. We have these high moral characteristics. But sorry, I'm ranting on that. But
No,
okay,
it's actually important what you're talking about because by law we're not allowed to financially give money to support these things. So this is an actual discussion that has gone on in the House and in the Senate. And while Hillary was president, this discussion took
Hillary
on
was
a
president. What? What is that?
sorry. When Hillary was Secretary of
I
State,
was gonna
thought she
say,
was
Joe.
president.
I was
Hey,
gonna say,
she
Joe.
thought she was president.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, she
yeah,
still thinks she's president, but go ahead.
yeah. She wanted to be president. Yeah, thank you. When Hillary was Secretary of State, she tried to release millions of dollars to be given to the Palestinians. However, there was a catch then. There was a Republican woman who oversaw the funds, and she caught that this money that Hillary released would be going to people who had been taking part in terrorist acts. And she stopped the finances from going there. Oh, So this woman ran for president after having been caught releasing finances to jihadis.
Well,
Now,
does that surprise you? We supplied during that time the Mexican cartel with weapons of mass destruction. Okay, or weapons of war. We got a bunch of
yeah,
people killed with them. Those weapons are still out there, still being used. You know what I mean? And then the dude, no, you talk. And then the guy lied, perjured himself, was found in contempt, found in perjury before Congress. DOJ did nothing. You know what I mean? This is the thing. There's no justice. I'm sorry. I'm just, yeah. Sorry, I'm being negative. But go ahead.
All right. So this next one, Jihad Rehab, comes from Guardian.com. Robert Spencer considers this the garbage paper, or the Daily Mail, the garbage and paper, and he doesn't like the Guardian too. But sometimes the Guardian has good information. So like I say, sometimes I'm not a big fan of the Guardian, but I
Well, the
saw
Daily
this.
Mail has all of Hunter Biden stuff, dude.
Let me put this one in the room too. I have to say, when I saw this article, here's the thing: I think any kind of reform or a jihad. I mean, to put the people through a camp that teaches them to go away from terrorism has been proven to be a phony program. It has been not one of them has worked. Now, I find this humorous. The Jihad Rehab, former Guantanamo prisoners, call for documentary to be withdrawn, so they don't want their faces shown as having gone through this. I wonder why. So let's take a look at this. This is by Thaslima Begum. Came out Friday, July 29th. A group of former Guantanamo prisoners are calling the film Jihad Rehab to be withdrawn. In an open letter, the men expressed their discomfort with the content of the film and its methods of production. Methods of production, huh? The letter was published after the film was screened at the Dock Edge Film Festival in New Zealand under a new name, The Unredacted. Changing the title of the film doesn't change its harmful narrative or lazy stereotyping, says Mozambeg, a former prisoner and director of the Cage Advocacy Group. Take a look at this group. A lot of Muslim Brotherhood group people here. Mozambeg, a former prisoner and director of Cage Advocacy Group, said, following widespread criticism, the team behind Jihad Rehab had an opportunity to listen and learn. Yet this has been met with little corrective action or even acknowledgement. Filmed over several years, the Jihad Rehab follows 4 ex-Guantanamo inmates who are detained at a rehab center in Saudi Arabia. Despite not being convicted of any terror charges, the film introduces each of the men alongside a list of alleged crimes they were used to detain them without trial in Guantanamo for over a decade. Gee, it's a military. They were caught by the military. We don't have a criminal court for them. All right. They were caught military. You don't put on your enemy on trial. It's one of the things we don't do. So there was no trial. They were enemy combatants. And that's why they were being held. You don't release enemy combatants if you think they'll attack you again. The film was condemned after its Sundance premiere earlier this year, which resulted in 2 Sundance staffers resigning in protest and a public apology. Why? Oh, from Abigail Disney, the film's executive producer, as well as the festival itself. In her apology, Disney said she regrets not insisting on a full fact-checking process. What are they so concerned about? I mean, this is the thing that bothers me the most. The fact that they were followed and they were caught and filmed. Again, think about it.
Isn't it like most of them, like 80 or 90% of them that's been released have like died on the field of jihad anyway?
Yes,
I mean,
almost
seriously.
all of them have returned to jihad, and like the fact that their names are well known, that they could easily be seen as former jihadis. The fact that those crimes were listed, they were caught doing this. The military caught them doing this. That's what it
What's
came
going
down
on with what's going on with Sheikh whatever Mohammed, the last guy that's there now?
to.
What's going
KSM.
on with him? Oh yeah, what's going on with him?
Um,
I thought they
I
were doing a
believe
trial at
KSM.
some time.
The last I heard is he was slated to be released. I haven't
Why?
heard. They were slating him to be released because we have Biden, Mr. Dementia in office, and or it's Biden running things.
Well, wait a second. Think about how does this make any sense? This dude
It
was the.
follows Obama's strategies. That's the only thing
Well,
that makes sense
well,
out of it.
hold on. Let's put this in perspective. We just clipped what's his name? Nobody, El Zakarawi or whatever
Yeah,
his name is.
Azarakawi.
Right? Okay, and I'm really suspicious on that one.
Well, he's been killed a couple times. So there's a lot of
Right.
soldiers who are saying, well, he's died before. Do we have any
Yeah.
proof? So
Mhm.
the only thing that's shown is a drone strike.
Right, with very minimal damage and stuff like that. Anyway, no, if you look at the building, it's like somebody just came and took the patio door off. I mean, there's like very little damage. But anyway, okay, so I'm very suspicious of this. But anyway, so let's go with this. We clip El Zakarawi, right? Second in command of Al Qaeda. Okay, yeah, okay, that's a good thing. I'm not, although it shows that Joe Biden is an Islamophobe, because clearly Al Zakarawi is not a white supremacist, and white supremacists are the greatest threat to the United States of America. So why is he focused on killing Muslims? I don't know why. Anyway, but here's the point. So we clip him, but KSM, that was the dude, that was the money guy, that was the
That was the guy
financier, that was the
who helped
operational
plan
planner.
the 9/11.
Yeah,
He was the
yeah.
planner.
No, exactly. He
And
was
he
the
brags
finance
about
guy,
this.
the
It's not,
operation.
and
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
thing. He brags about all the things he was involved in.
yeah. No,
You can read. I have a book.
no,
You
no,
can.
no. You can have Osama bin Laden and Al Zakaria say, yeah, we want to do this. No, this was the project manager. This
Yes.
was the guy that. This was
You
the
can.
guy that put it
The
all together.
commission, the 9/11
Yeah,
commission report has all that
yeah.
information in there too.
Mhm.
It's good to actually read this stuff. Read the truth behind Guantanamo Bay. I can't think of the book right now, but I have the book here. There's an awful lot of documents written, and yeah, this is the stuff that kills me. These guys were in Guantanamo Bay for a reason. They were considered,
Exactly.
again, enemy combatants. They're not prisoners like criminals. They're not considered criminals. They did not commit. Well, we could have gotten them for what could be called war crimes, because again, some of these things they did would be considered war crimes. But again,
I mean,
they
this
didn't
dude of
charge them in
all
that.
the, this is the dude that should be clipped, dude. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously.
KSM should have been charged with war crimes.
Well, he should have been charged. He should have been tried a long time ago. I don't know why he hasn't been tried. You know what I mean? No,
I think
I've heard.
if anyone should have been charged with war crimes, KSM should have been charged. They're afraid
I
of
don't care
making
what you.
him a martyr. That's what it comes down to.
I don't care what you charge him. I don't care about making a martyr. What you charge? You try him and then you put a bullet in his head. It's that simple. Or put the bullet in his head and then try him. No, I mean, this does not make any sense to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's just well, it just shows you that
Well,
the
if
Biden administration.
you have the trial, for war crimes, and then in traditionally it's very rare you see someone charged with war crimes that doesn't get a life sentence, instead of a death penalty. So it's happened. It's just extremely rare.
That dude just needs to go, man. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah.
Well,
Dude,
all of this, by the way, for those who don't know, it's his confession. It's his admission.
yeah, he bragged
He's
about it.
bragging
No,
about it.
no, and
That's
plus
what he did.
they got all the documentation on it. I mean,
Yeah.
no,
And
that's the
I will
thing.
say this also, he is one of the reasons why we've caught a lot of jihadis, because
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's how we got
he
Osama.
had no problem bragging about what he's done.
Well,
So
that's how we got Osama. Well, that's how they verified Osama, is because he wouldn't talk on what they already knew. So what happened was they already knew about the courier. They already knew he had a brother. They already knew that the brother was the one who was killed. They all had all this information. But when they went up to KSM, KSM denied the whole thing, and that's how they confirmed it. They're like, "Yep, if you deny it, then we know." You know what I mean?
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's pretty interesting how they worked that out. Anyway, I'm sorry, but please continue on.
Let's keep going. Okay. So let me pull this one up, and I think this is going to be a problem link. So let me just pull up my history. Um, yeah, I just noticed that there's a break in the link over there. So let me just pull up my history on another page here. In India this week, I mean, I pulled this up for when I was working with Usama, and I saw this, and I was just like, wow. I mean, you just think that okay, it's not it. All right, I have to look at the history. Okay, the joy of doing so many different things in the same day. I usually have about 20 stories lined up, and this one just caught my eye. And I look at this and like, wow. I mean, come on, where is it? And okay, getting there. And I'm just going to have to come over here and copy and paste. All right. And I don't think it's going to work. So let me hit escape here for a second. Oh, it did work. Wow. So this comes from Op India, and what I think is it's really important article. A reason I think this is important is there's actually 9 people who were arrested, just to let you know. These are considered Islamic scholars, and they were detained for. Here's my problem with it: detained. They didn't say they said they're arrested, detained for running a jihadi camp in madrasa and preaching hatred through Islamic texts. Okay. Osama police has carried out a major crackdown on terrorism. State police are busted a terror module operating in Morrigan. According to the information, jihadi activities were being carried out in a madrasa here. Mufti Mustafa and 8 others, this is what I'm saying, there was 9 who were arrested, are arrested by Assam police. The terror module was operating from a madrasa and was reportedly planning a major attack in the state. The Assam police received information about it from the intelligence agency, and which the police swung into action and arrested the suspected jihadis. The mastermind of the terror module has been identified as one Mufti Mustafa. The Morgan police arrested him on Wednesday, July 27, 2022, right after conducting a search operation in the madrasa and other residents in the area. The madrasa has also been sealed by the police. Now, there you see a nice face there? That's the Mufti. Mufti Mustafa is said to have been the mastermind of the terror module, runs the Jami ul Huda madrasa since 2018. The police also seized several incriminating documents, along with mobile phones, bank passbooks, and other material in their possession. With this, the police detained 8 clerics. Okay, these are clerics of the madrasa. It's being told that he was being funded by one. I'm going to hesitate to pronounce that name. Apart from the madrasa, was also getting funded from many other countries. And let me just put this link in the chat room so you can read it. I think this article is actually pretty important. And it makes you ask yourself, how do we know what's being taught in your local madrasa? madrasa school for people to be taught Islam for children in general, is that's what it's about. You have to start thinking, what is being taught here? When you don't think about that, you have to be. It's not. I just can't live a life like that of ignorance. So
Yeah, Paul,
yes.
Connie's in the back.
Okay, thank you. I'll let her in just a second. And I got to get back to the site here. And there she is. Okay. Hey, welcome, Connie.
Hey there, you always get me ticked off, so thank you very much. You did it again.
Oh, so go ahead. There's an awful. I guess the way I look at a lot of this is what is being taught. Again, the issue here is not Muslims. The issue here is the belief structure known as Islam. The article I read to you, they make a statement that Islamophobia accuses Islam of being evil. Well, I'm going to say if the hat fits.
And the hat does fit. You can read the darn stupid book and see that it abrogated all the bad verses, and now the sword verses are in place.
And these are things that are, this is the thing that gets me the most. These statements that we're sharing. When we talk about what Islam says, we talk about abrogation. We use their scriptures. We back it up. Now, I'm talking about news, so I'm giving out evidence that it's real news, that it came from actual news sources. So I'm not making any of this up. My next piece here is centered on the problem of dhimmitude. Now, dhimmitude is, Muslims will say that dhimmis are a protected people. I refer to dhimmitude as stupid thinking, submissive thinking. Another one, Stockholm type thinking. Stockholm are people who, when you refer to the Stockholm syndrome, refer to people who are suffering from being kidnapped or abducted and forced to behave in a certain way in order to survive. They become friendly to their kidnapper. They develop a relationship and concerns for their abductor. Now, dhimmitude takes that in some ways a step further. There's a lot of false assumptions that are made under dhimmitude. You assume, that's what it comes down to, and ass it. I'll just say it. When you assume, you make the statement goes, you make an ass out of you and me when you do that, assuming. So you're going to see that this article pretty much shows that. Then this is in Germany, where we have one of the worst leaders of countries that's on a par with Obama and Biden. And I would say she's exceeded Obama just because she destroyed her country worse than Obama did. And she's still in the process of doing that. And until people remove people from power who cause problems, we're in trouble. Let me put this link in the chat room. This is I use Google Translate. So translate.google.com. So I'm everything if you have to use it so often, it just normally I put it in and it automatically translates for me. That's the nice feature that this does for you. So it should come up in German otherwise. So let me just read this article. This is it in English. It says the foreigner is always the victim. Berlin's do-gooder police embrace Messer Africans after the deed. These are Muslim Africans. In Berlin, the 41-year-old Moroccan Munir M. is currently on trial for a violent crime in a public park, with which he involuntarily helped to reinforce the lesson that a concerned father wanted to teach his daughter. he was his 12-year-old daughter wanted to make it clear to her how dangerous it is to be in Berlin's parks late at night. In the end, Munir was bloodily made sure that the foreboding education measures were fully justified. What exactly happened? And I just got an accident. Okay, put another pop-up. On August 11th last year, shortly before midnight, 40-year-old Thomas Kay and his daughter argued loudly at the park. His father criticized her for having crossed the de facto no-go areas of a Berlin park at the time and wanted to make it clear to her how dangerous it was in the park at that time. Due to the problem of migrant clientele is habitually encountered there. So
Are you showing us this?
I will. Do you have that? I can do that.
The only one we have is The Foreigners always.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Okay.
And see if I can raise the. I can't raise the print. All right, I can't raise. Here we go. Okay. Is that better? Okay. What
It's
exactly
pretty
happened?
tiny, but yeah, a little bit better.
All right. Okay. So her father criticizes her for having crossed the de facto line. And here we go. She was too late from soccer practice. She says, I was worried, went to meet her, saw her slowly strolling out of the park in the middle of the night. She knows that she shouldn't go that way. And further, I said to her, going back so you can understand why you shouldn't do that. They argued. He argued with her, lost sight of her in the park shortly thereafter. Her father finds her and had to realize that the self-fulfilling prophecy was already in swing. When she came back, a man followed her that was accused Moroccan Munir M, because they don't reveal his last name because he's being protected. When the father rushed to the daughter's aid, he immediately attacked him, threw a beer bottle at him. A second bottle splintered at the father's feet. The daughter screamed. The man forced me to my knees and said that it wasn't my daughter at all. He shouted for the girl to get away, run away. Shortly after, the knife flashes in the North African's hand, who then stabs her father several times. He remembers he has no idea how he got away from there. 2 days later, he woke up in the hospital. And
There's so much information missing from that.
Yeah. So what happens is this police officer hugs this man afterwards. The police officer hugs the guy. Let me say, I don't think I pulled that up. And let me pull that back up again. All right. It's in there. I think I skipped it. It might be a little bit lower. Let me just. And pull this back over here. Okay. I mean, they're taught in Germany. It says that they're taught that it's always the one who's always at fault is the Germans. Let me just go a little bit farther. Okay. Yeah, it is farther than that. Okay. The consequence of this renewed negotiation of daily cultural coexistence in this case for Thomas K. Serious injuries, several operations, almost complete blindness in one eye. Think about this. So he's damaged for life. Severe damage to the other permanent scars of his face. The Moroccan, however, claims that he suffered a blackout, presumably briefed by standard procedures from lawyers in the asylum lobby. I can't explain what happened, he said from his point of view. I lost my job and drank a lot of beer in the park. At night, I heard a female voice. There was apparently an argument with a man. I just wanted to help. He only regained consciousness on a park bench after a policewoman took care of him. I was covered in blood, but the blood wasn't mine. Who doesn't know that? You lose your job, you get drunk in a park and put a knife in your pocket just in case, so that you can be on the spot quickly if you meet a German father who abuses his daughter again. Apparently, the Berlin police who met the Moroccan after the incident in the park believed blindly in the do-gooder's tale because there is no way other to explain that what they did first, according to the record. They embraced and comforted the bloody perp in the assumption that he was the victim. Apparently, the officer did not think the migrant could be anything other than the victim. Really. Is this wisdom in any sense of the word? The guy had a knife on him, and this says quite a lot. He's the guy that had the knife on him. That woman just placed herself in danger.
Do they have cameras in the area?
Probably not. And I'm just thinking because it's a park.
Huh. I would think there would be.
Let me just see, because I think there was a question there about it.
Well, they have cameras in the park where a chin was slashed and stabbed. A lot of good that.
The
You know what I mean?
Where she was, the only reason she was caught on film is because people were filming her normally.
Yeah, but what about all the cameras that are everywhere on the planet now?
Right.
Yeah, but
You know,
the body.
Germany, I in parks, I think any place that can film Muslim, that would probably be a missing document. It'd be probably missing document is the way I would put it.
Well, then they need to push it. They need to push it and say, hey, if you're watching us, then let's see the evidence. What exactly happened?
It says
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. It's gone. You'd be luckier to get Pelosi, Pauly P's body cam video of his DUI than get anything like that. You're not going to see Pauly P's body cam video. That's gone. It's been accidentally deleted. Or Hillary Clinton's emails.
He's not wrong. That I believe that's actually what happened. I think that actually disappeared. That document actually disappeared. I mean, there's just so much of this stuff now. It's scary when I think about all the stuff that we're seeing in the news every day and how much they're not sharing with the average American or the average Canadian. A lot of this stuff is just simply hidden, and it is extremely problematic. And Connie, I do want to apologize. I only have 2 screens. I don't have 3, so I can't keep that one screen up.
Oh, it's okay. I was able to at least talk in the back there and say, hey, go hit Paul and let him know.
I guess the thing that bothers me the most about all of this is, we have a culture that is oppositional to our social norms. First of all, we expect you to tell the truth. In their social norms, it's obligatory to lie if Sharia, if there's something in Sharia that has to be fulfilled. Oh, okay. So you're in Dar al-Harb. Pretty much you can lie all the time to us. You start reading.
Of course, they're at war.
I say every time, pick up a book called Reliance the Traveler.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to recommend my book, the Cancer of Civilization Jihad. It'll make you angry reading it, and I say make you angry because here's the thing. There's a chapter missing from this book I wanted to put in, but after I put it in and I was looking over the book, I said I don't think it really fit. And what it was a tale of my willful ignorance of Islam. And I thought all these attacks that had happened and I didn't care. It didn't care. It was that I didn't pay attention. That bothered me that I didn't pay attention. I mean, why were all these attacks by Muslims? Why didn't I pay attention? Why didn't I ask that question? Why is this one thing in common? Willful ignorance, people. I didn't ask those questions. I think that is the thing we need to ask. And that is the purpose of that book, The Cancer of Civilization Jihad. It answers those questions. Now, there is another book out there. If you're a criminal intelligence analyst, you may want William Gawthrup's book. It's called The Criminal Investigator Intelligence Analyst Handbook of Islam. Now,
can you show us the picture of it, the cover picture of it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the name?
William Gawthrup. Now I'm going to have him on the show.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul.
And I'm hoping, I'm sending out my copy and I'm hoping to have him on either the next Thursday or the Thursday after. I'm amazed how much we talk about the same exact things. He does it from a criminal intelligence analyst point of view. I do it from I'm just saying your average American point of view.
Yeah, the
I'm
love
an
of
educator.
people.
I want to write to the common people. He writes in a more of an analyst type manner. I try to write to everybody. I've actually my second book, The Civilization, Jihad, and the Myth of Modern Islam. I tried to write more scholarly when I started it. I like that, but that's not me. I can't write like my purpose is to write to every person. That's what you'll find the difference. So I probably bring down the academic conversation to about if as high as it probably goes, is 7th or 8th grade. There are some words in there that are probably a little bit bigger, but that is not due to me. It is due to the quotations that I bring in. That's the thing that you'll find in the books that I write. I try to make it so everybody can read it. It's not going to be difficult to read. Is that true, Connie? Is it pretty simple to read?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's so simple it can make you angry just because it's that simple.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first chapter really. I did look at your Appendix A, and that was awesome.
And that was the is that the 1915 fatwa?
Yeah, that would no the Appendix A, isn't it? All the sword verses.
Yeah, yeah. No, I will credit Eric Brazeau for sharing that with me. Eric Brazeau I asked him for permission to put it in the book. I have a lot of good friends that I communicate with and encourage me to keep doing more. And like the team here, I've got this is the reason why I'm taking attempts at scholarship by followers of Islam and working on that and saying, look, you can't call this scholarship. I've actually been cited in Islamic scholarship. So I'm putting in quotes. I'm saying scholarship because I was mentioned because of the title of the book. They didn't actually quote the book, which I do not consider scholarship. I consider
So was the title of your book? Does it seem favorable to Islam? Because no, that's what they do. I've noticed that a lot of Muslims they will quote something. Okay, but dude, honestly, they only like read the first 30 pages of a book. Okay, well, first 100 pages of a book. Okay, that's critical of Islam, and they'll find that the author is setting up the argument that they are going to then dismantle. You know what I mean? Okay, and they will quote from the part where the author is setting up the argument or the pro argument for the position, but he's going to argue the negative, right? Well, they will take that pro argument from the book and they will say, "See, this scholar agrees with our position." And then you read the book and you're like, well, you read like the next page, you're like, no, he's specifically saying that this is the argument he's going to tear apart and totally destroy, which he does in the book. But it doesn't matter to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is the point when it comes down to it, is that a lot of the work that we do, when you look and when anybody looks at scholarly material, I've been reading PhD type dissertations, master's theses for oh my gosh, about at least 25 years, and not all of it's by choice, but at least 25 years of reading it, editing people's PhDs. I do some. I haven't done edited in quite a while, but I do a lot of reading and a lot of scholarly reading. Part of that is to make sure I'm getting actual facts. But when I go to quote scholarly books and I find such poor use of logic, poor use of what we call scholarship, that these things would not pass as scholarly in an American university unless, here's the catch, unless they're going through an Islamic program. Now, I pick
10
on the
seconds.
difference between state schools and private schools. My sister went to a state school and took a philosophy class. She handed a paper. She got an A on it. I helped her with it a lot. She read it. I didn't do it for her. I gave her a lot of suggestions. But if I had handed in that same paper, I would have got between a C and a D at the school I was at. And that was the first time I really recognized the difference between a state school requirements versus, like looking at that, like I would have, if I passed, I mean, I thought I would have got an F if I turned that in, but yeah, I would not have done well. There was a higher standard. I think that scholarly standards should be pretty universal. At least I had always thought they were. I've read tons of scholarly materials from people in Spain, all these different countries. When they, when they're translating English, I use them. I'm communicating now. I'm back on LinkedIn. I'm communicating with my friends from different countries, and yeah, we're all talking about some of these same issues: the lack of scholarship in the Islamic culture, the concept of scholarship that what we consider. And again, my reasoning for bringing this up is, if there's one thing we can communicate to the followers of Islam to improve your scholarship, I know why they don't. Because it creates a problem. Once you start analyzing things and critically reviewing them, you will have to leave Islam. So my suggestion, leave Islam, look to the Messiah, find out who the Messiah is, find out what the Messiah is. What does that word mean? You're going to find that is Jesus. Jesus is the Messiah. Christ is the word Messiah in Greek. Come, give your life to Christ, and then give us a call and we'll celebrate with you. God bless everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Amen. Thanks, Paul.
Bye.
Paul, we love you.
All right, thanks, Paul. That's great.